new silent film, Nosferatu. My book is titled Nosferatu The Untold Origin, and it explains how Nosferatu became a vampire. And what inspired me to create this was really, I look around and I see what they're doing to the vampire genre in general. They're making the vampires into these whiny, angst-ridden teenagers that there's nothing really frightening about them. You know, it's like you look at these and go, God, what are they doing to this genre? I like the mythical elements of the older horror films. Like you look at the Hammer movies, you look at the old Universal films, and my favorite is actually the silent Nosferatu film. So I said, I'd like to create an origin for this character. So I sat down and I took 3 years and I painted roughly 330 paintings, maybe a little more, a little less. I've lost track. And I wrote the story and did the art, and now it's it's a done deal. The book is it's pretty interesting, and it's filled with all its mythical trappings.
Mm-hmm. And if any of the listeners wanted to get a hold of that, do they order that online, or can that also be picked up in stores?
You can get. There are a few bookstores in New Jersey and Pennsylvania that carry it. They're mostly comic book stores. You got. Let's see, hold on now. The Comic Station, and that's in Haddon Heights, and you got Bogart's Books. They're in Vineland, Millville area, and there's 2 in Pennsylvania that are carrying it. One is called, hold on now, let me get the name of this place. Jeez, man. Well, there's 2 in Pennsylvania that are carrying it. Doylestown Bookstore and Farley's Bookstore. There you go. But you can get it online at NosferatuOrigins.com. And it'll come to you right in time for Christmas if you order it now with a little card, a little Christmas card. Nosferatu in a blood, he's holding a rat in his hand with a Christmas hat on.
Okay, and just kind of switching gears. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's a good
well,
way
I was just going to...
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead if you have something else to say about the novel. Go right ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was trying to get... Please, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. I was just going to switch gears over to working on independent horror films. If you just wanted to talk a little bit about your experiences and what all you've done, as far as editing and just anything you've done with independent horror films.
I've worked primarily as a special effects artist, and I've directed some pieces as well. But the effects work has been mostly prosthetics. Best one I did was a film, a short actually. It won a lot of awards, and that was The Telltale Heart. And I had to do 12 overlapping pieces for the actor's face. But in between that, I've also done, bloody scenes, some movies I can't even recall the names of, but I've had to cut people, stab them, slice their heads off, you name it. And it's been a lot of fun, and the challenge that I like is it's like a magic trick, you're trying to create something that you can't see how it's done. I don't really like doing the blood so much as creating the monsters. The monsters are a lot more fun because it's something you're making up out of your mind's eye. But, plus I like the old Universal horror films. Like, the creatures in those were just so amazing, You look at them, it's like, wow. And they didn't even have the technology that they have nowadays to pull that stuff off.
Right. Now, have you ever gotten to work on, a horror film with any type of vampire character?
No, I have not. I would like to. That's a dream of mine. Actually, I'd love to turn my book into a film. I think that would be if I had the money right now, I would turn around and, take $500,000 to $1 million and do a low-budget independent version of my book. But I've done werewolves, I've done zombies, I've done mummies, I've done, but not a vampire character, I haven't done that yet.
Okay, and just speaking of the vampires in particular, Do you have a favorite vampire film, and why?
Yeah, the original. I have two of them. The original Nosferatu, the silent one. That's why I did this book. Is honestly, it is. What I love about that film is it doesn't look like your typical Hollywood film. It's a European film, so you have realistic-looking locations. And the central character in Nosferatu, he is so unlike any romantic vampire character. He's, this tall, gaunt, almost, he looks like a death from the classical mythical characters. He's frightening. They don't romanticize the vampire. They didn't glamorize him. They made it, truly something that was terrifying to look at. And I love the realism of that film because you look at it, all the locations are real, the characters, everything. It feels very realistic. And as compared to, you look at something like, I love Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it looks very artificial, and that always bothered me about that film. So it's like, Nosferatu, 1922, they made a film that you look at it, you're like, man, that is amazing. Look at what they pulled off in the silent era. The character, the vampire, you look at him, it's still, you look at it today, it's like, that's a disturbing-looking vampire. You look at, most films, the vampire is kind of like, his character. Like Bela Lugosi, I love his performance because he was almost like a zombie or something. He was like, his voice and everything else, his movements, there was something very hypnotic about him. But my second favorite vampire film, so I don't wander too far off topic, would be the 1979 Frank Langella's Dracula, which is totally the polar opposite of Nosferatu, but again, I like it for similar reasons. It's like the sets and stuff, they used real locales in Europe, and it looks it, except for the castle. That was a matte painting, but the film looks remarkably realistic, and I think that's what I like about that film, that they made Dracula more like a Casanova-type character, but at least he wasn't, a whiny teenager like they're doing with this Twilight stuff, which that just drives me insane. And I can't stand when they turn characters that are scary into like, oh, the sunlight, it's making my skin sparkle, It's like, what are they doing? It's like they're wrecking that genre. I don't know, It's like that stuff drives me crazy.
What did you think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Would you
similarly
compare that?
I'll tell you what. It was fun. At least what is interesting about that is they keep some mythology in it. I won't call it great, and and it'll probably be forgotten in 15 years. But at least that was fun. They didn't make it so whiny. I thought it was a comedy, and it was good. It worked for a comedy,
Oh yeah.
And the TV series, that was what it was. It was for what it was. It was kind of interesting,
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite vampire film?
As far as vampires go, I'd have to go with Dracula, probably. I mean, I agree with some of the points you made, but I'd have to agree. And I have not seen. What's that?
Which Dracula? The Bela one? Or
yes.
Frank Langella's? Or
the original.
Oh, the Bela, yeah. Dude, I love Bela Lugosi, man. He's awesome. That's
definitely a classic.
That was also the first sound horror movie. It was neck and neck. Technically, there was another film that came out right before it, but it's more of a silent movie. It was Carl Theodor Dreyer's Vampire, and that was released 6 months prior to Dracula. But when you look at it, it's more of a silent film with some sound. But Lugosi's Dracula was the first complete sound horror film. I love the look of that film.
Mm-hmm. And just before we
stole a movie, what'd you think? Did you think Dwight Fry stole the movie? In the his Renfield?
Yeah, the acting was definitely there. I mean, definitely fit the part. So yes, and I enjoyed that definitely.
love the way he would just like look at the fly